Good day, my dear friends. So, I am continuing Power of Mantras in Hinduism, Part 3. So, these nuances or these mysterious esoteric sciences and proven sciences are not there only applicable in the recent times, but even if you refer to the olden Puranas, see in Mahabharata, Ashwatthama. He was son of Dronacharya and had learned from his father mantras because they were he's a Brahmin rishi. So he took a blade of grass and then through the power of the mantras converted it into Brahmastra, and he after the war, when he found that all his father and everybody were killed, he got angry and he converted that blade of grass into Brahmastra and levied it, and the children of Pandavas all died. Lot of people died in that. See, very clearly reveals that he had no sharp instrument or powerful iron rod instruments or bow or arrow and all, but he had only the blade of grass, which by the force of his mantra got converted into a powerful weapon. See, that is the point one has to really ruminate on or deeply think about it. See, these instances, though that had come, why did the incident of Mahabharata or Vyasa choose only Ashwathama to know that mantra to convert a blade of grass into a Brahmastra or a super weapon? Why did not he make Krishna to convert? Or even Arjuna may not possess, they may really possess a Brahmastra, and they would have used that Brahmastra or the through an arrow, through the iron rod arrow as we know, but not through a blade of grass, because that is another deeper power of a mantra required for converting the grass into a weapon and then into the Brahmastra. And also, even Bhishma Pitamaha, he was not stated to have any Brahmastra, or he did not convert any blade of grass into a Brahmastra. Therefore, Ashwatthama, being a Brahmin, he knew some mantra taught by his father, Dronacharya, and therefore he only has been cited in Mahabharata to have converted the blade of grass into a Brahmastra. See, you have to look into all these things very deeply. Krishna could have been cited, Bhishma Pitamahar could have been cited, or Karna Arjuna could have been cited as they used the mantra and converted it. Karna had certain other mantras, of course, we know that. And he was prevented from using the second time the Brahmastra and all, that is okay. But here, converting this a blade of grass, it's a very deep thing to think about and ruminate upon and to analyze upon. It's a food for our thought. Ramayana also, in the Kakasura episode, it was only the blade of grass with Rama had in his hand, and he chanted that mantra because Rama also knew. Lakshmana did not know. Even I don't think Ravana knew those mantras. There are certain mantras, just like you say, certain medicines. Certain medicines work for diabetes, certain medicines work for tuberculosis or cholera or COVID-19s. You see, certain medicines work for certain things. A diabetic medicine is not given for a heart treatment. We know that. Therefore, there were certain sections of mantras, there were powerful mantras known to certain who could chant it in a proper way, in the proper rhythm, in the proper swara, so that they had the ability to convert this. Similarly, even I was told that Pushpaka Vimana also you have to chant certain mantra and then you have to lift the Vimana, the aeroplane. And Ravana knew that, Ravana had that. Whereas in Mahabharata, I don't think Arjuna or Yudhishthira had Pushpaka Vimanas. Therefore, why I am telling you, see, there were a lot of these mantras our ancients too had, but most of them are lost. I did some survey, I did some research, I went, attended some conferences. We hardly have 1%, and of the 1% of those palm leaves, we have converted, and only 1% of those Sanskritam texts into practical understanding Devanagari script, Lipi. And then we are reading that, like some Rig Vedas of 10,552 verses, some Yajur Veda, some here and there, some we are reading. Bhagavad Gita only 770 verses. We are reading around those verses, 700, 770, Vishnu Sahasranama, about 140, whatever it is, we are reading here and there, collecting somewhere. If you take Gadopanishad, we have lost, because as I could see from the earlier first 5 verses, there is no proper link, but they have adjusted and made it into a book with whatever they had. See, we have lost a lot of these mantras and other things. We have lost a lot of them. Some are still, I was told, it is there in Germany and other places. And some, I think it is there in Trivandrum, even in Saraswati Mahal Library, Tanjore, to be awaiting to be translated or into modern English or something like that. So they knew the secrets. So they knew those mantras. And whatever available with us, I honestly feel that we have to chant those mantras, which is not available in any other faith other than Hinduism. We have those swaras, I told you, Sapta swaras, and chanting it properly with the proper diction. Because wrong diction, ta and da and all we saw, can give the viparita artha, opposite meaning. So even those episodes, what I am telling, even these Puranic episodes, we had those mantras. The 10th century AD, I read an article of a Sindhi community in the Rawalpindi, Lahore area on the bank of river Indus, that is a Sindhu Nadi, Sindhu river. They were compelled to convert to another faith by a tyrant called Miraksha or somebody, Miraksha. But then they prayed to Lord Varuna, the Sindhi community, the Sindhus who were living on those banks. And Lord Varuna appeared to them in the form of old man, also appeared to that Miraksha or somebody. And he accepted, the Miraksha, the tyrant accepted the Lord of the Seas Sindhu community, and then came to a conclusion that Lord is one for everyone. So there is no necessity to forcibly convert other faith to our faiths. No requirement to violate another man's faith. That's what the conclusion he came to. It's a writing I saw. Therefore, why I am quoting to you all these things is the power of the mantra, if chanted properly, would get you into those frequencies, as Einstein said, and you cannot help getting the reality you want. To quote once again Einstein said, everything is energy. There is nothing more to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help getting that reality. There is no other way. This is physics and not philosophy, he says. Therefore, you have to tune into that frequency by power of a mantra, to travel in those frequencies to get your reality. As Mahamrityunjaya mantra for sickness or for longevity of life, or Sri Suktam for Goddess Lakshmi for achieving Dhana Prapti, wealth for us. See, every mantra is towards a divine power, and you cannot misuse it to harm others. It will not work, and it can ricochet on you. It can come back and fall on you. If you want something, you can ask. If you want your illness to be cured, you can ask for it. If you want dhana, not causing loss to somebody, but dhana for your living, comfortable living, you can ask for it. Based on your prarabdha karma in your previous lives, you would get. Therefore, a mantra that the other man should get lost, it may not work properly anywhere. That's what my understanding is. Therefore, humanity has to love each other, has to live well, has to help each other, has to be a satyam vada, dharmam chara, all those things. Matru devo bhava, pitru devo bhava, attend to your elders, parents, look after them in their old age. Do not hate anybody. If you want to be my disciple, I should not ask you to hate all others and be my disciple only. I should ask you to love everybody and then finally come to me to be my disciple. That's what Bhagavan Krishna and our Vedas say. Matru devo bhava. First you worship mother. Then you come to me finally. I am there. Don't worry. That's what our Hindu Sanatana Dharmam says. Pitru devo bhava. Acharya devo bhava. Worship all the teachers. Teachers belonging to different faith. Respect them. Worship them as a deva. Atiti, guests. If a guest come to your house, you kindly give them the necessity hospitality. Worship them as a deva. That's what the Vedas say. I'm quoting from the Vedas. Therefore, these power of mantras, the mantras for sickness, for health, for prosperity, for mental happiness, for sharp brains, everything is available in the Hindu faith. And the ragam, the swara, is so enchanting also that it not only develops your memory power, but it gives you an enjoyment. Music is a therapy. If you see any musicians in India, as far as Indian context I am telling, I do not know much of foreign musicians. Any musicians like Semangudi Srinivasa Iyer or T.M. Soundararajan in Tamil Nadu or Mohammed Rafi or Lata Mangeshkar, Asha Bhosle, musicians who lived their life correctly without any habits, unwanted habits like smoking or alcoholism. They all lived up to 95, 98 very in a arogya manner, in a healthy manner they lived their life. Therefore, these swaras, Sapta Swaras is also there in our music, in our Carnatic, Hindustani, our nation's music, Hindu culture music, it is there. If we adhere to these musicians, live very long. It's a therapy with health. Living long means not with sickness. You can a person can be in a coma for 10 years, but that is not the correct way of living. But living well with good health. Therefore, what I am telling is these swara, sapta, chandas, I told you in my part 1, it helps to develop your neurons also. See, your brain has neurons. The brain consists of nerve cells called neurons. These every neuron has an axon in one end and a dendrite in the other end, and the body of the cell in between. Neurons are, you cannot see them. It's you have to have a powerful microscope, and there are supposedly 80 billion neurons. 80 billion is 80 into 100, 8,000 crore neurons in our brains. Now, in between neurons, the neurons face each other. Neurons are connected to each other, but axon of one neuron will face the dendrite of the other neuron. And in between those neurons, we have what is known as synapses, which are gaps. Okay, gaps, space. These are all very, 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 very micro, because it's not, you think it's a big one and all you can see. Possible to see unless with a proper, powerful microscope. So you will have a synapses, the space. These synapses, if you have a very torrential mind, a stressful mind, a mind that is jealous, a mind that is angry, a mind that wants to take revenge, a mind that wants to harm others, terrorists, these synapses will be filled with pus cells. So there will not be any connectivity of these two neurons or between neurons, axons and the dendrites of the other. Axon of the one and the dendrites. So free flow of information will not be there. It will get choked. Like your rivers get choked, your sewerage ditch get choked with the dirt. These synapses get choked with pus cells, slush. How to free it? Either through meditation or through chanting of these Vedas or Carnatic music, Hindustani music. Not with those big sound and drums and all, with those pleasant or Vedas is the best. With Sanskrit words, it is divine. If in Sanskrit or even in Tamil or even in other Indian languages, Sanskrit and Tamil are the oldest languages. If you chant these Vedas or the Tamil Oduvars, they beautifully chant the Oduvars, the Shaivite songs, Vaishnavite songs, Alvars, Nayanmars and all. So lovely it is that what it does, it helps to clear your pus cells. There will be a pure synapses, a pure gap, so that the information from axon freely flows into the information, that is from one neuron to the other neuron, the information flows. The axon of one neuron spews out, the other dendrite receives it beautifully of the other neuron. So information passes between neurons smoothly. Your mind becomes sharper. In another way, in a layman's language, we say the mind becomes sharper. The exercise for the brain, one is meditation, one is chanting of these Vedas. or singing Carnatic musics. That is the only exercise. That only prevents also the stress. When you chant these Vedas, you will never find stress. You will only be interested in taking those ragas, even in Carnatic music. But Vedas being on a divine note, beautifully structured with these Sapta Chandas, 7 swaras. I told you, and the next chapter, next session, I'm going to explain the Ashtavikritihi, the Rudra, the Pada, the Samhita, the Krama, Jatamala, and all. I will do that in the next episode. But if you do that, the brain becomes powerful. It is an exercise for your brain, just like you do exercise for your body, going to the gym and do all those pull ups. Exercise for the brain is chanting the Vedas or meditation. The more of it I shall continue in my next part 4. Till such time, Bhuyat Tavat Shubha Mangalam. Thank you.